So Young Birds from Strange Mountains has been, I think, one of the first exhibition about queer Southeast Asia in Germany, if not in Europe.
It's an exhibition that deals with topic of queer arts or queer artists from Southeast Asia and in its diaspora.
And the starting point of that exhibition is to go back and try to find knowledge and try to see what our ancestors have done in terms of queerness. What terms do we have to describe queerness in pre-colonial times?
We want to offer a narrative that is not necessarily following the idea of queerness that is usually in the West is attached to this idea of freedom or visibility. For the most part, queerness has been more an embodied experience that is not necessarily explicit, but it is something that is closer to everyday experience, including with rituals, traditional theater performances, astrology, fortune telling, and so many other aspects that maybe for an audience coming from global north or western context might not be considered as a form of queerness. One of the special thing that is important to mention is also about how important archive is for the exhibition.
And the project started actually when one of our co-curators, Thảo, was a fellow actually at the archive of the Schwules Museum. And Thảo discovered that there are a few objects that are also related to this kind of migration history, but also could be linked to the issue of queerness from Southeast Asia especially.
In these archives, we feature a lot of knowledge from pre-colonial times and shamanism, but also community knowledge, which are submissions from a lot of queer artists or even queer Southeast Asians to submit their works, but also just a text of how they feel about being queers and Southeast Asians.
In history, there's so many memory, there's so many stories that are produced from the queer and trans community in the region, but they're not necessarily treated as an archive as such. Queerness is not something that we imported from the West, but has always already part of our tradition and life experience.
In the project exhibition program Young Birds from Strange Mountain, we have artists from actually almost all around Southeast Asia.
They come from Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, and Vietnam mostly.
One of the work in the exhibition that I like a lot is the work from Việt called Love Band. So Love Band is an experimental art music videos in which Việt kind of explore Southeast Asian popular culture through fantastical versions of queer love. And at the same time, he used music video to expose this contradiction of modernities and memories of Southeast Asia, turbulent histories of war and trauma.
The second artwork that I want to highlight is the work of Tamara, who is a trans women artist from Indonesia. Ludruk is a folk theater that has been around since pre-colonial time, usually from poor communities, and they were always critical to those in power. All the actors are men, basically. They also perform female or women characters. Most of them does not identify as trans women or gay as such, but still they perform queerness and they experience or they do queerness in everyday life.
Old Montien is an artist based in Bangkok. The work of Old Montien we showed here is called Antai, and basically it's how he deals with grief when his father passed away. And his father is someone who obsessed with this cowboy object of this kind of masculinity. He also created a ritual where he also tied up his queer friend when his queer friend then kind of embodied the role of the father. So it's also a kind of way to maybe not become a shaman, but it's still very spiritual of how you find a substitute, let's say, of the father body and grief on that. Exhibition Young Birds from Strange Mountain starts from 28 November 2024 and runs until 4th August 2025. For the upcoming, we have the closing performance and reading actually on the 1st of August, so please also come by before it's too late. Haha.